What's up, ladies and gents? Phil here, and welcome to my Bethesda E3 Press Conference 2016 reactions and recap video. Unlike last year, Bethesda did not get first chance to present at E3 because EA trumped them earlier today. And a lot of people were kind of like, gee, I wonder what's going to happen with Bethesda. Are they going to be the big guys? Because last year, Bethesda decided to do a new press conference on Sunday. It was the first year they'd ever done one. And they just blew it out of the water last year. I mean, announcement after announcement, right? They had, Elder Scrolls Online on consoles, and, Fallout Shelter, Fallout 4 coming out in the fall, and Doom's coming out, and all this stuff that we hadn't even known about in a lot of cases. And they just completely dominated E3. They by far were the best press conference of E3 last year. So I think this year, because of their great performance last year, similarly to how a few years ago Sony did so great with the announcement of the PS4 and then kind of deflated years after that, Bethesda came in with super sky high expectations for what they were going to do. Let's recap. Let's go point by point through it, because I think Bethesda, if anything, was kind of a mixed bag. There were some good things. There were some bad things. So let's get to it. First off, the first thing that they showed, Quake. Holy shit, Quake is back. Yes, so along with the new, revival of their classic franchise, Doom, now that we're going to revive Quake. The name of the new game is Quake Champions. And they're saying that they're actually going to promise amazingly great graphics at 120 hertz. Now, for those of you who don't know, that means you can get it up to 120 frames per second, which means that's not going to happen on console. Sounds to me like Quake Champions is going to be designed primarily as a PC game rather than a console game. They also said that, unlike other games that have been released recently, Quake, since at its core was always a competitive game, especially when they got to games like Quake 3 Arena, that they're going to open up entire leagues and tournaments, and it's not just going to be at their annual show QuakeCon that they do, but it's going to be they're actually going to start a big tournament scene, which is kind of similar to what EA said earlier today that they were doing. So it almost seems to me like all these game developing studios now are kind of thinking, esports. We've seen that League of Legends and, Call of Duty and Street Fighter, and these games are now popular, and they have popularity because of esports, so now we're going to start our own official esports leagues based around our games. And I can see positives and negatives for that. I just hope that they don't go the total route of always competitive and not creating anything for those who don't want to be competitive. But I digress. The Quake Champions is coming. They didn't announce when, but it looks like it's going to be PC only for now. It's going to have a multiplayer focus. Okay, so that opened the press conference. Then they just basically did a big recap of their past year and how great all the stuff that they had announced at last year's press conference did, like Fallout 4 named Game of the Year by numerous studios. Fallout Shelter became their fastest and biggest selling game ever and made them an insane amount of money for a game that, quite honestly, didn't take a lot of game development because the game wasn't very good. I played it for about 3 weeks. It was so incredibly boring that I fucking quit the game completely. I can't imagine how people sunk millions of dollars in this game unless they just didn't know how to play it, honestly, because that game didn't need any money investment whatsoever in order to actually play it or be good at it. And then they went on to talk about, Doom launch, and that was amazingly critically acclaimed and all of that. So now they said, let's get to the new stuff. So the first thing, what they talked about was Elder Scrolls Legends, which actually they did announce last year. It's a collectible card game for mobile devices and PC. It looks like it's going to be launching later this year. And quite honestly, from what I saw, it looks like Hearthstone with a few tweaks. You have your decks of minions in front of you, and they're attacking each other, or they can attack the head character. I think one of the new features is that if you attack the character enough, they have these little notches around their little portrait, and once you hit a notch, you automatically randomly just play a card. That could be a card that could change the face of the whole game around, so it seems like there's a randomness factor to it too. But let's face it, it looks like Hearthstone. It's basically their version of Hearthstone. They're saying right now it's only in beta, and you can register on the Bethesda website. I think it's Bethesda.net. You can register to be as a part of the beta. But it's not guaranteed. They're selective on who they pick. Or they're saying it will release to everything. iPhone, iPad, PC later this year. It'll go to everything. Okay? Alright, great. Like all of us are here watching this press conference to hear about a mobile game, right? Todd Howard, the MVP by far of last year's Bethesda press conference, is not there. What a shame, right? So he's kind of has this segment, this vignette or whatever he recorded at wherever the game development studio is. And he talks about Fallout 4, and he says, thanks for the big success of the game. Here's what's coming in future DLCs. Next week, there's a new one. It's called Contraption. So as soon as I heard this, I'm like, I know, it's going to be more crafting, isn't it? Yup. You sit at the workbench and you craft contraptions, conveyor belts, these things, and I'm looking at it and I'm like, again, if you're a crafty person, if this is, if you like games like The Sims or these games where you build houses and you build contraptions and you like that shit, great. But what about those of us who just like Fallout 4 and its narrative, right? Because I'm not into that. So contraptions, a new crafting DLC next week. Oh, Vault Tech Workshop coming out in July. Guess what that is? Making your own vault. And I watched this and I'm like, I just played the Fallout 4 mods on Xbox One 2 weeks ago, and they already have a mod for that. So it already exists. I guess this is just going to be the official Bethesda one for those who bought the Season Pass or whatever. So another worthless DLC for me. That one, like I said, comes out in July. And then they announced, they didn't say too much about it. All they showed was a very brief trailer of it, people walking in and out. Nuka World is coming out in August. Now, I don't know what this is. Is this a narrative-based expansion? Is this a brand new city where there'll be quests and stuff to do stuff similar to Far Harbor? Is it a theme park? It wasn't explained, and they certainly didn't show enough at all to really explain what the hell it was. So it looks like in August, there's going to be another major expansion that might be pretty interesting. And that's good news, again, if you're a Season Pass holder, you're going to get all that already. You already paid for it. If you're not a Season Pass holder and you got to pay for all of it, but I would say, unless you're into crafting, you've got 2 to skip. And I don't know what it is. I mean, why do they think that the core fan base of Fallout 4 wants to sit there crafting? I don't get it. Like, I don't know. I mean, that's just me. I didn't cover the previous, what was it, Wasteland Workshop? I didn't cover it, and not one person said, Phil, why didn't you cover it? They were all like, just skip it. It's boring. So I'm going to probably be skipping the next 2 until we get to Nuka-Cola World in August. Then they said there will be a major Fallout Shelter expansion. Yes, the mobile game will get an expansion in July. New combat, new this, and I'm watching. I'm like, who cares? I played that game a year ago. I played it for 3 weeks. I got incredibly bored with it. I stopped playing it. I will never play it again. I don't care how many times they update it or they put shit into it. It's boring. It's fucking boring. It's not fun after the first few days. You're bored of it. So anyway, whatever. Then they announced the Skyrim remaster. Yes, that is right. Elder Scrolls Skyrim will be re-released for all modern consoles, PS4, Xbox One, and they show the difference in lighting and textures and all of that. And I'm watching it, I'm like, I don't remember the game looking so bad. And then I remembered, I played Skyrim on PC, on high settings of everything. So actually the version of Skyrim that I played on YouTube years ago is the new version that you're going to get on the modern console, so I have no need to replay it. But they did mention one addition that may want people to play it. It has mods now. Similar to how Fallout 4 has mods on console, the re-release of Skyrim, the remaster, will also have mods on these modern consoles. So there's at least one catch there for it. For me, I'm completely disinterested. Then they announced a new game, and I'm like, yes, a new game. And then they showed the trailer, and I was excited. I actually liked the trailer, but it's not a new game. What it is a reboot of a game series from quite a long time ago that had a sequel that got lost in development hell. It's called Prey. Now, what this game is, it's set in the future. I guess it's supposed to be set in 2032. Apparently, you had some kind of weird experiment done on you, and you end up waking up on like a space station that's being invaded by aliens, but you have powers, and you're using the powers to fight the aliens. It looked like a combination of like survival horror and sci-fi. So to me, it honestly almost had kind of like, remember The Darkness from a few years ago? The Darkness and the Darkness 2. I played The Darkness 2. I liked it. Also almost like Dead Space almost kind of had that kind of weird vibe, right? So people also in the stream chat when I was watching said Soma had, yeah, I can see that, but it seems like it's going to be way more action-based than Soma was. So Prey, it's not Prey 2, by the way. Everyone was speculating it's going to be Prey 2. No, they dropped it. No sequel, it's just going to be a reboot. Start the series over, it's been long enough. Prey coming in 2017. More info coming at QuakeCon, supposedly. Alright, so now Doom. Updates to Doom. Doom, released last month, as you know. I absolutely love the freaking game. One of my favorite first-person shooters of recent memory, and one of the best multiplayers in a first-person shooter I've ever experienced. So here's the deal. Doom is getting both free content and paid DLC content. I know it's a little confusing. I was even saying to people in the stream chat, like, why don't they do one or the other by doing both? Now they're confusing everyone. So free content, apparently it's supposed to be new snap map stuff. So, the fan-made viewer or, consumer-made maps. There's supposed to be additions to Snap Map coming. But also there's supposed to be new multiplayer modes coming. They mentioned there were like free-for-all modes, and the classic deathmatch from the original Doom is going to return, and a few other things. All going to be free, and that's supposed to be coming over the summer. They didn't say exactly when, but they said this summer at some point. So, hey, when those new modes come out for multiplayer, I want to check them out, so I will be. But then they also mentioned the first paid DLC will be coming out very shortly, and it's actually going to have 3 new maps, a new monster, new demon you can transform into, and of course new customizations for your characters or whatever. And I'm like, I don't know. Like, I like to do multiplayer. I told you guys in my review, I love it. But I don't know if I want to pay money, another 30, 40 bucks just to get a couple maps and a demon here and there. I don't think it's worth it. You know what I mean? Like, I love the game, but is it worth 40 bucks? And why are they releasing free content along with, like, I'm not complaining that it's free. It's just, why it should all be free, or it should all be under the DLC. Why they got free and paid? I don't know. It's very confusing. But anyway, that's the deal with Doom. And then they announced this week only, starting tonight. So if you did check out Doom, here's your opportunity. Doom is free on PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and on Steam for PC. Of course, it's just a demo. It's the first full stage of the single-player campaign. So, I'll be honest here. I know a lot of people who went out there and slammed Doom. It's too old, it's archaic game design, it's not modernized enough, and meh. I loved Doom. I told you so in my review. Now's your opportunity to try it for yourself. If these naysayers turned you off from checking out the game with the shit that they said about it, now you can actually try it for yourself, at least the first stage, and then judge for yourself if this is a game you like or not. I like that, because I think what happened is a lot of people didn't buy Doom because of the asshole reviewers who reviewed it like fucking shitheads, and that didn't have proper frame of reference and didn't give full background. And I think that, some people will actually enjoy this game if they take the opportunity to try out this free demo, so I strongly recommend that you do if you haven't tried the game yet, okay? Elder Scrolls Online. I hear crickets, because that's pretty much the reception you get if you say Elder Scrolls Online to anyone. But apparently Bethesda didn't get that message yet. Apparently they think their game is such a massive hit, and everyone's playing it, and it's hip. The bottom line is Bethesda invested millions and millions of dollars into this game, and it was a huge flop at launch. And since then, they've been just trying to make the game better, and they have, but no one cares anymore. It been there, done that years ago, right? Now, last year, they launched Elder Scrolls Online on consoles right after E3, and I asked everyone, should I try it? And collectively, all of my viewers said, fuck no, skip that piece of shit, don't play it, do other stuff. So I did. So here's the deal with Elder Scrolls Online this year. First of all, they're claiming 7 million users and growing are playing this game. I don't think so. I think maybe 7 million people have tried it and are trying it and play it and don't continue to play it. I'm just saying, because they tend to skew numbers like that, but that's what they announced. There was a freaking woman in the audience, and this is the beginning. This woman in the audience would not shut the fuck up at this press conference. Every little thing. And everyone's like, is she a paid placement there to fucking scream? Or is she just like this dude's wife who's presenting right now? Like, what's going on? This woman won't shut up. So everything he says about it. Elder Scrolls Online will be releasing on June 23rd in Japan, so a whole new audience will get it. And everyone's like, Japan doesn't care about Elder Scrolls. They never did. Japan doesn't even play console games anymore. Why would they care that Elder Scrolls Online's coming to consoles? Wow, it's so good. Wow! Stupid woman screaming in the crowd. They also announced that the Dark Brotherhood DLC will be coming to the console versions of Elder Scrolls Online. They showed a trailer for it. I'm watching it. I'm like, why is this important? And then people started saying, oh yeah, by the way, it's already out on PC. It's been out on the PC version for like months. So it's a non-announcement. It's a DLC that's already out there. They're trying to hype up the console version, which no one's going to fucking buy at this point. It was a complete waste of time at this conference. But again, Bethesda's not going to drop this. You're going to hear about this for the next 5 years. Seriously. They invested so much money in Elder Scrolls Online that they have to keep plugging it and try to get a few more people to play it because the game's fucking shit and no one will play it. I know, it sucks. It sucks that they blew it because apparently the whole thing was the launch was sucked. The launch was botched totally, and they had to redo the game from the ground up or some shit. I don't know. I just heard the game was like really bad at launch, and now it's actually not so bad, but no one cares about it anymore. It's such a shame. Oh yeah, they also announced this is something never done in an MMO before. We're going to do a 1 Tamriel expansion, which is going to make the entire game accessible after the tutorial. There will be no level restrictions. Everything will scale to your level. So as soon as you get out of the tutorial, you can go to anywhere in the game and play any mission you want. What? Then there's no progression ever. If you can just go anywhere you want, there's no progression. There's no point in ever leveling. There's no point. You know what I mean? Why do you even need experience points? They have no point in the game. There's no point. You go anywhere you want from the get-go and just fight anything because it scales to your level. So, you know, with MMOs, the whole thing is about grinding time for progression. You have to grind to get items, grind to get experience, grind for whatever so you can progress to the next level and do the next higher level thing. If that doesn't exist, what's the point of the game? So, in my opinion, I think what happened was they realized, oh gee, a lot of people just play the tutorial and then realize the fun stuff's behind a level, a wall level or a level cap, or they'd have to grind too much in the low level areas that suck, and then they stop playing the game. So we want people to keep playing, so we're going to remove that. I don't think it's going to get any new players. I think people are now going to play and say, well, now I can get everything from the get-go. The game's pointless. I'm just saying, I'm sure there's some people of mine, viewers of mine that are going to say, I love Elder Scrolls Online, it feels wrong. I'm not saying the game's bad. I'm actually not. I'm just telling you, no one cares. Like, this is just a non-thing, and to have so much dedication in this press conference to a game that no one really cares about, I'm just saying. Anyway, moving on. Bethesda VR. Ooh. They actually said that here at E3 this week, they're going to have Doom and Fallout 4 in virtual reality setting that you can check it out, and that Fallout 4 as of next year will be sold and be compatible with the HTC Vive, which is their HTC version of virtual reality. Now, I don't know how many of you have been following along. You probably haven't been, because remember earlier this year, the VR hype, right? Oh my god, the Oculus Rift is releasing, the HTC Vive is releasing, and it's hype, and it's selling out. Remember, it's selling out. You can't get one. They're just so scarce now. They've sold out, and I was very skeptical of VR back then, and I was like, I don't think it's going to go crazy sales. They're too expensive. The modern consumer doesn't want it for that price. And no, Phil, you're wrong. Didn't you see that it's sold out everywhere? I'd like you to check now, because guess what? They're all available. You get HTC Vive right now, ships in a couple days. Oculus Rift, no one's buying them. The initial early adopters bought them. Guess what? There's no games for them. No shit. Just like I said, there's nothing coming out for these fucking things, so they're sitting there collecting dust for those who bought them, and no one else is buying them. If anything, the pre-orders for PSVR are starting to stack the fuck up high, because here's, games that we already have that are great on PlayStation 4, we can now play with the PlayStation VR. Now, keep in mind, there's all these rumors about the PS Neo and all of that make the VR more viable, and that the regular PS4 won't work with it nicely or whatever. That's besides the point. The point I'm trying to make here is, Bethesda announces Fallout 4 will be on the HTC Vive, and I'm like, and? No one's going to have it. The early adopters and no one else. So you're going to sell the game to like 20,000 people, and no one else will buy it, because no one's going to buy that shit. I thought for sure they were going to announce PSVR, and they didn't, and that shocked me. I thought for sure Fallout 4 on PSVR, you would get butts in seats for that. Fallout 4 VR on an affordable option, but no, they picked the unaffordable option. Guess what? Non-announcement, in my opinion. Alright. So now, the conclusion of the Bethesda press conference, and yes, I mean it, the conclusion, I'll explain in a moment, was Dishonored 2. And they spent a ton of time on Dishonored 2. This is obviously the major focus for them for this year, which I'm quite honestly not surprised. Dishonored 2. First of all, it's in a totally different location than the original game. It's actually going to be in a town called Karnaca, which is, I guess, supposed to be kind of like a almost nautical, not nautical, because the first game was nautical. It's supposed to have like there was a flood there, but now the flood's gone, so it looks like a lot of sand and stuff. They explained that there's two characters that are playable, both Emily and Corvo. Emily is Corvo's daughter. She's now, I guess, the queen or the commander or whatever, and he's the world protector yet again. And you can play as either of them, and each of them will have their own unique skills, but it seems Corvo's very similar to the first game, while Emily's different. So if you played the first game, you're probably going to want to play as Emily, or else it's going to feel like you're playing this first game over again, right? They also mentioned that, that both characters are going to be fully voiced. The first game, Corvo was a silent protagonist. In this game, both of them will be voiced and actually kind of have their own stories. Although, I don't know, I'm a little skeptical that the game would be different with each character. I just think it's going to be different abilities, not necessarily different missions or stories. You know what I mean? They said there's a custom engine they've created for this game. They want the game to look like a painting in motion. And they showed the graphics, and I'll be honest, they kind of look like other games. Like it looks like Uncharted, looks like Doom. You know what I mean? Like, it looks good. It looks great. I'm not complaining. But is anything... Wow, I'm blown away? No. It just kind of looked like everything else that I've played recently. The game takes place 15 years after the end of the first game. So, you know, Emily is the ruler. They show gameplay. And the gameplay looks kind of interesting. They noted that they're going to try to use vertical space more. That in the first game you could climb, but only maybe 1 or 2 levels. In this game, they're going to be always constantly have like multiple levels for you to traverse. And rooftop travel will actually be a major thing in this game. There's sandstorms that come through that kind of block people's visibility and stuff like that. Not that we've never seen that before. Oh, they did mention that all of Emily's powers are new. So if you pick Emily, it's a new game because she has every power is nothing like Corvo's. Okay, and they showed a few of them off. You know, one of them was called Domino, where you could have one guy be mind controlled, but it would have a chain effect on others and it knocked them down or something. And Shadow Walk, where I guess Emily, she turns into this shadow creature, and she can use it for stealth, but she can also use it to attack. So I guess there's some dual use there. Now, the coolest thing by far of everything they showed about Dishonored 2 was this one segment of the game, and I want to preface this. They did not say if this is a mechanic you can use over the whole game or if it's only in one portion of the game. And sadly, I've seen trailers and things like this at press conference. Oh, look at this cool thing in the game. And you buy the game and it's only in there for half an hour. And there's another 8 hours where it's just boring. But the mechanic is apparently Emily can time travel. So she's in this manor, and she's in modern day. The manor's all decrepit, it fell apart, but she has this like visor that comes up on her arm, almost like Pip-Boy, you know what I mean? Pops up, and she could see the past. So she could see areas. Wow, look at this. Here, there were furniture, there were doors here and there, and so she seamlessly travels between the two time periods. She'll take out a guard in the past, but then travel to the future because the gate's broken to walk through the gate, but then she'll go back to the past, and the gate will be behind her to stop the guards from chasing her, and she traverses between the two time periods to do puzzles and to get through the stage. Sounds good. I like that. That sounds interesting and unique and different. I hope they implement it well, and I hope that actually it's not just that one portion of the game, but it remains to be seen. That was pretty interesting to me. They also mentioned a collector's edition of the game, which will be sold for an insanely hefty, like overall, I think it was like $260 or something crazy. What does it come with? A replica mask from Corvo, and it has a freaking, like a ring, Emily's ring or something. And I was like, didn't the original Dishonored come with like a replica mask of Corvo? I thought it did, you know, if you bought the collector's edition. The bottom line is, at one point in my life, I like these collector's editions, and I probably would have geeked out over it. At this point, I'm not spending $200 extra for a mask and a fucking ring. But for those who are collectors, you might like that. You might want to start pre-ordering right now. They also mentioned this. If you digitally pre-order the game, okay, you will receive a remastered version of Dishonored 1 on the console you pre-order. So if you get it on PS4, you pre-order it, you'll get Dishonored 1, the remastered version for PS4 for free. Now, it didn't say when, it didn't say if you get it now, you'll get it when the game comes out, no explanation there, but that's kind of neat, especially if you didn't play the first game, or if you want to get, like, caught up. Maybe you played it, just like me, you played it at launch, you don't remember much about it, and you want to kind of get caught up for the release of the second one, you want to refresh your memory, and you play the remastered version, then you can. Now, I mean, I'll be honest, I remember the game. I remember. You were in this town, kind of like London, which is what it felt like. Use these powers, and I had teleportation powers, I had, like, ninja-like powers, but I also had strong combat, but also stealth, and I used a combination of it during the course of the game. I remember there was the brothel and all that you went through. There was, you go to the sewers. I remember the game was good. I really liked Dishonored. In fact, it was funny. I think I liked it a lot more than other people, because a lot of other people thought it was kind of meh, but I really enjoyed it, and so I was happy to hear they're making this sequel, and for me, I was pretty happy that this sequel is coming out. By the way, it comes out November 11th, so a big release for the end of this year. In fact, if you take a look at the game release schedule, it's actually really the only major Bethesda game coming out this year, which is kind of interesting. You know, last year it was Fallout 4, this year it'll be Dishonored 2, so maybe this is a pattern they're following now, where every year they're going to have this one major game that comes near the end of the year, and then there's other games that sporadically release during the course of the year, so maybe next year the big game will be Prey. I don't know, we'll see, I guess. Alright, and then they ended the press conference saying, oh, the swag. You know, you're all about the swag. For all you who are here in person, you get a t-shirt. Have a good night. And everyone was like, what? Because last year, again, if you didn't follow me last year, you wouldn't know this. Last year, they gave away this big set of figurines. These, like, a Doom, I think it was a Cyber Demon, and it was, like, a character from Fallout, and it was a character from, I think it was Dishonored. So you had like 3 or 4 little figurines, and these were insanely rare. You could only get them by being there in person. People were selling them on eBay for thousands of dollars. This year you get a t-shirt. I can see why some people might have been disappointed, alright? So let's be honest, let's recap, alright? Quake Champions, a new game, Quake's coming back. That's great, right? Elder Scrolls Legends, it's a collectible card game. Some people will be excited, some people won't. I'll definitely try it out because it's free, but just like Hearthstone, I don't know how long I'm going to really play it, you know what I mean? Fallout 4 DLCs was a mixed bag because you had 2 again that were just fucking crafting, and I'm so tired of that. Why they don't understand that not everyone wants crafting, I don't get it. But the fact that there's a new one called Nuka World coming out in August could be good, we'll have to see. Fallout Shelter expansion, couldn't give two shits about. Skyrim remaster, some people might care. I played it on PC, so I don't give a shit about it. Prey looks good. I'm excited for Prey next year. I want more info on that, so I hope that there's some good info coming out of QuakeCon. New expansions for Doom sounds good to me. Although I don't really care about the paid-for DLC, but the fact that the game is free, or the first level of the game is free this week is awesome. I definitely recommend you check it out. Elder Scrolls Online, a complete waste of 10+ minutes. They talked about it. I don't give a fuck, and no one should. Bethesda VR, that's your... If you have an HTC Vive or plan on getting one, if not, no one's going to give a shit. And Dishonored 2, which was awesome, in my opinion. So, it was a mixed bag this year. I think last year... Here's the problem. Last year's Bethesda press conference was so good. Being the first one, multiple new game announcements, blown out of the park, saying Fallout 4 was coming out that same year. Your expectations are so high. How could they live up to that expectation, right? But at the same time, I do kind of think it was underwhelming. I do think that Bethesda, unfortunately, is seeming to focus on stuff that they don't understand. That Fallout Shelter, all right? Everyone played Fallout Shelter, but who sunk money into it? Probably not the mainstream person who bought Fallout 4. So the same person who gets hooked on every mobile game and spends $500 a day is the person who spent $1 million on Fallout Shelter. I don't really care that they're doing expansions for that. You know what I mean? And it seems to me like these game devs now are getting pulled apart from what their core ideal. Their core ideal is to make a great game that's going to not only be an artistic experience, but a fun one for the consumer, and they listen to the consumer, but it also makes money for them. And when you're pushing Elder Scrolls Online down my throat, when you're pushing Fallout Shelter down my throat, and you're pushing Bethesda VR down my throat, and that's like, 20 to 30% of the press conference, it gets a little bit disappointing. Is it anywhere near as bad as EA was earlier today? Fuck no. At least Bethesda gets it. You know what I mean? And I understand sometimes you gotta shovel the shit in order to be able to make the gold on the other side of the company. So I think there was a little bit of shit shoveling in this fucking press conference. But for the most part, I enjoyed it. I'm very much looking forward to Dishonored 2 later this year. Definitely not as good as last year, so it does leave me with a little bit of disappointment and kind of an unhappy face. I put that on Twitter. I said, unhappy face for this press conference. But I'm not angry like I was with EA. At least they get it. It seems like they're listening to consumers, and if they keep at this track record, they could do a really good job in the future, and that's an awesome thing. So, there you go. That's my recap and my thoughts on the Bethesda press conference. Reminder, this is only the first day of E3 if you're watching this on YouTube the day that it was released. Tomorrow, we've got Microsoft, Ubisoft, and Sony. Nintendo on Tuesday, so I'll be talking about all those right here on the King of Hate Vlogs. I hope you'll come back to check out all of that coverage over the next couple of days. All right, everyone, thank you for watching, and I'll see you then for that. Peace out.